Welcome back to the Lose Your Mind podcast for a brand new series. It's so nice to have you with us. And if you've forgotten us already, my name's Alan, and I'm with my counterpart and colleague here, Kelly. Morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Alan. It's lovely to be back after a whole year. Oh,
Can you believe it?
I must say, it has gone incredibly fast, really fast this year.
It, it has, isn't it? And why do you think it's gone fast? What the hell have you been doing all this time?
Well, we've both been very busy, haven't we? And we both became authors in 2024, which was pretty special, I think.
It absolutely, and it's only taken us less than a minute, I think, to mention that.
Well, I think it's important. I spent a lot of time um, not sharing things like this actually on my journey, like low self-confidence, self-worth, blah, blah, blah.
Really?
And as I go into 2025, because series three is, taking place for us in 2025 after that year out, I am really practicing what I preach, I suppose. I think it's important that people share their stories. So we have a deeper connection with others. And writing is a great way to do that, as we both know.
Well, look, for everybody's benefit, why don't you share your little story of what happened to you in 2024 then and how it came about?
Only if you return the favour.
Of course, you know I will.
Okay, so in on February the 20, no, not even the not the 20th, wrong date. I'll start that again. On February the 9th, 2024, which was a new moon, I published my first book, Desperate to Be Loved, Little Notes of Self-Discovery. And I still can't actually believe it, if I'm honest with you. I struggle to get my head around it. And I think part of that is, for me, because it seemed like not as much a bigger deal around me as what it felt inside me, I struggled to recognize it as the achievement it was. But I was looking the other day with my daughter, and I think only 3% of people or something. I mean, I'll come back to you on that, but not many people actually finish and publish a book in the population. And you probably know as well as I do. I know we both self-published, but had, editors and support along the way. But it is bloody difficult to do. It is a lot of hard work, particularly when it's non-fiction in a sense, because there's a lot of yourself in there. It's quite vulnerable to share part of your story, who you are. Yeah, and I actually had to disconnect from it a little bit, I think, because it was quite overwhelming. I'm very proud of it, and this year I'm almost reconnecting with it. But oh yeah, it was a. I actually feel emotional thinking about it here now,
Yeah,
actually
I can
reflecting.
tell. I can tell. It's obviously a
Yeah.
massive emotional journey for you. Tell us why you disconnected with it then, do you think?
Um, I think in life we have expectations that, we want to do well. You publish a book, you might automatically, everyone must think, am I going to be a bestseller? Am I going to sell millions of books in 2 minutes and, you know, make waves across the internet? I don't know. But I think more than that, I suppose I wanted support and recognition around me. And I think it just didn't feel how I thought it would look for me. So I then disconnected from the whole process, I would say. Yeah. I don't know how
Okay.
it was for you, but for me, it's been quite a harrowing year in general. So,
Okay.
yeah, there
All
we
right.
go.
Well, maybe we can touch on that a little bit, or maybe you want to make that a subject of a separate podcast, Kelly. I mean, the point of this podcast is one of the points of this podcast is for us to share a little bit about ourselves and how mindfulness helps us with that. Because what Kelly's just described there, I can entirely understand. Having read the book myself, it's a very, very open and honest, vulnerable account, really, of your life and your journey through anxiety and what you're looking for in life. And I think that it doesn't just end when you've sent the document off to the publisher, because it is something that's come out of you and is still with you. And I definitely had that same experience, in that I think mine was a personal journey as well. My book, by the way, is called The Burnout Ladder: How to Thrive in a Chaotic Workplace. And this really was from my own experiences of having difficulties at work and just working too hard, and all the mental problems that ensue. Now, I decided to write the book to A, get something out of my system, and B, to help other people, because that's the business that Kelly and I are broadly in now. We want to help other people using this skill of mindfulness, amongst other things. And the reason I disconnected with mine a little bit too, in that, and I know from having heard other authors speak and talking to other authors, that it's like you're so sick of it by the time it goes off to the publisher that you can't bear reading your own words even. I pick up a page at random and I read things and I sort of cringe at it. But that's not the feedback I get from anybody else. It's just because they're my words. And I think most of us can probably relate to that when we hear ourselves speak or sing or, watch ourselves on video. We cringe, don't we? Because what we think we are doesn't appear to be the same on the outside. So, but I just back up what you said. It's really hard to get it done. I'm proud of us for having done it. It's a really difficult thing, and for me, it's not just the book itself. Yes, I had fantasies of it becoming a bestseller and going on the Graham Norton show. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a tool to communicate, to people, whether it's individuals or businesses. It's a tool to get out there that I can use to talk to people.
Well, you can never say never, by the way. You just don't know what's around the corner.
I know.
And I am really proud of this journey. Remind us of the date that you published your book, because I was going to ask you a few questions about it, and we can bounce back and forth. But when was the Burnout Ladder released, Alan?
The Burnout Ladder was released on December the 6th, and it was a week late after its initial publication, which for me was a massive success. To be only a week late is really something else. So it's still new. It's only been out for just over a month at the point of recording this podcast. And and lots of family and friends, I think have kind of supported it. But when I go on Amazon and I search for burnout and books on burnout, it's it's not even on the first, 5 or 6 pages. So it's a crowded marketplace, and it doesn't have the marketing advantage of me being a famous celebrity or a marketing machine of a publishing house behind it. But that's okay. Like I said, it's not about the sales. It's about using it to communicate to people, which is what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I think that's hugely important. And it doesn't matter, does it? If you search, well, either desperate or love, I suppose you'd put on mine, it does not come up anywhere near the top. Desperate to be loved might be, because not many people are open about that.
If you search for those keywords, you won't see it on the front page in the.
Probably not.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should search for it once in a while and see how it's doing. But I get your point. And and for me too, I don't want to be too obsessed with it, because I think if you do that, and this is being mindful, and if you've heard of our previous series, this subject will have come up, is not to outsource my happiness to how well it does. I'm just happy to have done it. And if I can be grateful for that and take something from that, I'd rather do that than say, okay, well, it's not a bestseller, therefore it's a failure, because it's not. It doesn't have to be. So I don't want to hang my future happiness on whether that book sells another single copy, to be quite honest.
Well, I think that's actually quite an important message in general, even going back to series one and series two. When we're projecting into the future, we kind of lose ourselves, don't we? And we need to come back into the moment where we are, bring a bit of compassion and gratitude to the journey that we've been through. And it's big. In fact, talking to you this morning, obviously after all this time, so many ideas are now coming into my creative spark, is thinking, oh, we could talk about that, we could talk about this, but obviously we need to try and gain some focus. I think we will do an episode on writing, our journeys of writing and publishing, because that I think a lot of people will be interested about. And I think both of you and I have shared that the purpose of us sharing our stories isn't just to get books out there. There's stuff in there that's changed our own lives that we want to share with other people. So yeah, I think we should come back to that. But one thing I think would be quite nice for us is either read the blurb on the back or something out of our books, just so people can have an understanding. Because I've obviously read your book. I kind of flick through books. I like books where I can pick up and flick. And something I'm doing at the moment on my Instagram page is, what do I need to hear today with Kelly? So it's sort of like, what do I need
Yes.
to hear today? And I'm flicking through. But I think it would be just quite nice if we shared a tiny bit of our books. And because I think that's woven into who we are as people and the way that we work, which is important. But at the core for both of us, mindfulness and meditation, which is where this podcast began, is still hugely important, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. The tools in my book, because it really is a toolkit, it's a practical self-help guide, are really, the mindfulness is at the core of it, and because that's the core of my personal well-being toolkit, and therefore what I want to share with others. I'm just going to read you a little bit off the back of my book. So the context is, it's the ladder is a metaphor for burnout.
Which I
And
love, by the way.
oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So the early stages of burnout may be easily identifiable, often adrenaline fueled and exciting, luring you onto the path of self destruction. But as burnout progresses, you are so entangled in the problems, you fail to see the solutions. Each stage is like the rung of a ladder, and as you climb higher, you don't realize it is slowly starting to burn. And that's the problem, is we don't see it, and we go through these stages which are like the rungs of a ladder, and all the time the ladder's burning under us. So that's what I'm trying to help people with. See it and then do something about it.
Oh, you absolutely will be. And I've read through it, and we've actually had a talk on the radio, haven't we? Which was really fun.
We have
And
indeed. Thank you for that.
in fact, we could share that. We'll share our interview as part of the podcast, because we've already got a lot of episodes coming up, one including burnout, haven't we?
We have, yes.
So, but I just really love the way that it's broken down. I also like the 12 chapters for the 12 months of the year. I'm a big numbers person, as you know. So I think, yeah, there's some really nice things um, that don't feel overwhelming for people to take action on in your book. So
Oh,
it'll be
good.
really
Thank you.
insightful in the burnout episode, for
Yeah,
people to find out a bit more about that.
we shall certainly do that. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate what you said there.
Oh,
So
you're
tell me about
welcome.
yours. Give me a little bit of yours.
I'm going to read you the blurb, okay?
I'd love to hear the blurb.
So, little notes of self discovery, which is essentially how I write, actually. I write lots of notes to try and understand things, and then I mishmash them together and it becomes. But my little notes of self discovery. We all want connection. We all want to feel love. In a desperation to find my ideal version of love, or what I thought it should look like, I lost myself for a while. I became addicted to anxiety, thinking it was my way out, my safety net. Sounds crazy, but true. After quite a journey, it surfaced that I'd been looking for a perfect love in all the wrong places. Discoveries emerging through writing and meditation, adopting a more mindful way of living. Things started to become a little clearer. My days became a little less fearful and my life a little brighter. My faith and connection with love restored. And I think, yeah, I think for me, that's what it's all about. Just trusting what I know. Um, yeah, it's so difficult to trust ourselves. I get back on that hamster wheel periodically because that's what happens. And I think it's really important to highlight for anyone listening, actually. We don't do these things, write these books, and then become healed, perfect, functioning people. We have tools, like you say in your book and in mine, that
Yeah.
help us come back because actually life is really hard. And I've had a very difficult year the past year. But all these fundamental things have really helped me get through it. And yeah, I'm just really passionate about it. There are 13 chapters in my book, which I do mention because it's my favorite number. And there are 13 moons. I was born on the 13th, and I just love the number 13.
And it's definitely lucky for you, isn't it? 13.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to build on what you said, and for those of you that haven't had the chance to read this yet, you get all of that and more from this. And by Kelly opening up and sharing not only what she went through, but how she's managed to change herself is really inspiring. So, and I think you only get that from authenticity and honesty. And it's, I think you said to me as well, didn't your editor describe this? Was it your editor? Like a warm hug or a
Yeah.
cuddle or something. And I think
Yeah.
that's lovely, and that's what it is. So yeah, you need to buy it, everybody.
Well, and yours. So go us.
Well,
This is
yeah. At the end of this promotional episode, as we come
no.
towards the end, we better just tell you a little bit about what's coming up in series 3. We have 8 episodes to share with you, so we're really looking forward to that. We're so sorry we've been away for so long, but you've obviously heard the reasons why. We're going to talk a little bit about Kelly's topics from her book as well. We're going to talk a little bit about burnout. I'm going to focus a lot on how mindfulness can help you in the workplace, which is not just about burnout, but just those little things that can help you in work and in life. And what else have we got coming up?
Well, we have got so much to give, as we all have, really, that it's going to be a surprise where this series takes everyone. But I think it's going to be worth tuning in for. It's great to be back here with you. Just the podcast itself, actually, for me, series 1 and series 2 really opened up, I think, my own voice and the way that we're able to have discussions, which is really important for people to be able to do. And I think for those listening, I really hope, a bit like with my book, and I don't know if you feel similarly with yours, I just want it to find its way to where it's meant to go. And I think whoever listens to this, I just want them to feel they're really kind of with us and, you know, that we've got them and they're not on their own, because people need to feel safe. That's all we want. Safety and love, in my opinion, and that brings the connection that we all look for. So we're going to do an episode around safety, and I think yeah, it's good to be here, and I'm excited to share the things that we're passionate about with those who are meant to listen. So thank you for your time today, Alan. I've loved being back here with you.
And
And
right back at you. It's been a lot of fun to be back in the studio, as it were. So, yeah, I couldn't have said what you said any better. So, we will probably leave it there for today. And you can expect to see, as I said, 7 more podcasts in this series, which will be coming out via your favorite podcast provider. So looking forward to spending some time with you. And I loved what you said about, I mean, even if it helps one person, there's one of you out there, we've got you, as Kelly said. I think that's really great. So
yes,
bye for now. We'll see you next time.
yeah, bye.